Welcome to Voyage Daily Tech, the most important news personalized for you every day, supported by Voyage.com.
After listening to today's news, you'll know first, OpenAI's $10 billion deal with Cerebras for 750 megawatts of compute power is a strategic move to bypass NVIDIA and accelerate its path to a $1 trillion IPO. We'll analyze why this massive bet on wafer-scale computing is a turning point and how it could affect competitive dynamics in the AI chip market. Second, India's IT giants are cutting tens of thousands of jobs due to a skill mismatch, even while racing to upskill their workforce for an AI-native future. Today, we'll take a closer look at this workforce paradox and its implications for the global tech services industry and the future of IT careers. Third, Microsoft, Meta, and Amazon are now paying for Wikipedia's data as the non-profit asserts its leverage as a critical pillar of the AI industry. In this episode, we'll break down this major power shift and what it signals for the sustainability of open knowledge platforms in the age of AI. Fourth, BMW's upcoming electric M3 will challenge Tesla with a quad motor setup and a central heart-of-joy computer redefining high-performance driving dynamics. We'll explore how this complex architecture could transform EV performance and what it means for the engineering battle to preserve brand identity in the electric era. Fifth, Google faces a new wave of lawsuits from major publishers like Vox Media, seeking damages from its ad tech monopoly after a landmark DOJ loss. So we'll discuss why this legal assault matters and what a potential court-ordered breakup of Google's ad business means for the entire digital media ecosystem. The most unexpected news in the tech world today has to be this. OpenAI just signed a deal worth more than $10 billion. This isn't to buy another company or build a new headquarters. It's a massive bet on pure, raw power. And it's not all at once. This compute is slated to come online in tranches through 2028, locking in capacity over time instead of gambling on a single build. The company is purchasing up to 750 megawatts of computing capacity from a startup named Cerebras. So why Cerebras? Why not just buy more chips from the market giant NVIDIA? Well, the thing is, OpenAI is making a strategic bet on a completely different kind of technology. Instead of using thousands of individual GPUs that have to talk to each other, Cerebras builds what's called a wafer scale engine. Think of it as one single gigantic chip the size of a dinner plate. This design solves a massive bottleneck in AI. It's a big deal because it has an incredible 21 petabytes per second of memory bandwidth, which is just a technical way of saying it can access the data it needs almost instantly without the delays you get when data has to jump between smaller chips. It's a radical approach built for pure speed. A while back, we talked about how XAI was tightening into a vendor-investor feedback loop with NVIDIA and Cisco to secure supply. Today, OpenAI is taking the mirror image path, diversifying silicon to avoid being boxed into a single stack. This move is a direct shot in the escalating AI race designed for one purpose: to pull ahead of the competition. The core conflict is clear, as the industry has a ferocious appetite for the computational power needed to build systems that can rival human intelligence. And what's crucial to understand here is that this isn't just about getting faster, it's a strategic power play to reduce their dependence on a single supplier. Right now, NVIDIA dominates the market for AI chips, and OpenAI, like everyone else, has been heavily reliant on them. This $10 billion deal is a clear signal that they are actively building a second major source for their computing power. It's a classic business move to de-risk their supply chain and foster competition, which could have huge implications for NVIDIA's dominance down the road. We previously analysed OpenAI's push to spread workloads across multiple infrastructure partners, contrasted with XAI's vertically aligned strategy. This is OpenAI doubling down on optionality. OpenAI went on the record with a statement that reveals the entire strategy. They said integrating this new power is all about making their AI systems respond much faster. Their reasoning is direct. When AI responds in real time, users do more with it, stay longer, and run higher value workloads. It's a sprint for speed, believing that instantaneous AI is the key to market dominance. We've been saying for a while that real-time performance isn't a feature, it's a flywheel. Now OpenAI is spelling out that exact growth logic. But that's not the whole picture. This $10 billion deal is just one part of a much larger strategy. Let's really understand the scale we're talking about. 750 megawatts. What does that even mean? To put it in perspective, that's enough electricity to power roughly 525,000 homes. A single company is securing the power equivalent of a large city just for its AI computing needs. This highlights a massive and growing challenge for the entire industry. The incredible energy footprint of AI, it raises huge questions about where this power will come from and the environmental impact of this AI arms race. We recently focused on XAI's plan to stand up a massive Mississippi data center, part of what we called AI industrialization in the heartland. OpenAI's 750 megawatt commitment hits the same scale signal, even if it's spread across Cerebras deployments rather than a single campus. These multi-billion-dollar investments are laying the groundwork for a potential initial public offering, and the number attached to that IPO is a jaw dropper, a potential valuation of up to $1 trillion. Now, the structure of this deal is key to understanding their path to that $1 trillion number. This isn't a typical purchase where they own the hardware. It's structured as an operational expense, meaning they are essentially paying for a service for access to compute power over 3 years. For potential IPO investors, this is a huge deal. It means OpenAI avoids having billions of dollars of depreciating assets on its books. It makes them look more agile, more flexible, and less risky, which is exactly what you want to show Wall Street when you're aiming for a valuation that size. A while back, we broke down how SoftBank dumped its entire NVIDIA stake to double down on OpenAI, the pick a miner, not the shovels pivot. An asset-like compute contract like this makes that kind of bet cleaner on the balance sheet. This isn't just about making ChatGPT a little quicker. It's a calculated, high-stakes investment to redefine the AI landscape. OpenAI is signaling that the next phase of the AI war won't be won with just smarter algorithms, but with overwhelming computational force, pushing for a market valuation that could reshape the entire tech industry. And unlike the vendor-investor lock-in we've seen elsewhere, this is OpenAI trying to run parallel tracks, keeping NVIDIA in the mix, while bringing a very different kind of silicon online to secure speed, supply, and leverage. We were just talking about the massive hardware infrastructure needed for AI. Now let's turn to the human side of that equation, where a huge shift is underway in India's IT sector. A top investment manager just made a prediction about it that is an absolute bombshell. His words: the number of people required to work in IT services in the world of AI will be orders of magnitude lower than where we are currently. We previously analysed how the hiring bar is shifting toward AI-forward talent rather than sheer headcount. The latest development is this prediction reframes the scale. Fewer roles overall, with a premium on people who can prove they add value with AI. This isn't just talk. The shift is happening right now, and the numbers are staggering. India's largest IT company, Tata Consultancy Services, is in a race to adapt. While it just trained an additional 37,000 employees on advanced AI in a single month, its total headcount has simultaneously dropped by over 25,000 in less than a year, citing a skill mismatch. As we noted a while back with other tech leaders, that doesn't always mean hiring freezes. It often means a hard rebalance toward AI forward roles. So what does this skill mismatch actually mean on the ground? Research shows that AI is specifically targeting the hollowed out middle of the corporate ladder. The core functions of many middle and senior managers, things like project scheduling, resource allocation, and reporting, are precisely the tasks that AI can now automate with incredible efficiency. Continuing our last discussion, the director of MIT's Computer Science and AI Lab framed it this way: the baseline is no longer can a person do the job, but can they add unique value beyond what AI can do alone? This is why we're seeing experienced professionals being let go. The new game is about shifting into roles that AI can't touch: strategic decision-making, creative leadership, and ethical oversight. And because AI fails differently think model drift that quietly degrades performance, those oversight roles are not window dressing. They're operational necessities. And what about that massive training push? This isn't just about getting a quick certificate. TCS has a goal to build one of the largest AI-ready workforces on the planet. The training is comprehensive, covering everything from basic AI literacy to deep technical skills. And they've even built immersive AI experience zones where employees can experiment and build new AI-driven applications. A few days ago, we mentioned how some firms even ask candidates to use AI tools during interviews. These experience zones are the in-house version of that same idea. Don't just claim fluency, demonstrate it. If that was just the appetizer, the main course is just being served. A report based on a survey of HR heads found that more than a third of India's IT companies are already using AI for 40% of their core operations. By 2027, an incredible 97% of them expect work to be done by teams made of humans and AI. We previously warned that organizations were built around human failure modes, not AIs. Figuring out these new workflows will be messy, and getting the human in the loop design right is just as important as the models themselves. Interestingly enough, this isn't just an Indian story, it's a global restructuring. Major competitor Accenture has also laid off thousands while simultaneously training over 50,000 employees in generative AI. Capgemini has launched its own generative AI campus to upskill its teams. The race is on everywhere, but the sheer scale and speed of what's happening in India is unique. And as we've discussed, leaders across industries say they're not simply hiring fewer people, they're hiring AI-forward talent. This is where the situation takes a more complex turn. A new analysis says in these new teams, AI will take the lead role in most cases. We previously analysed the tension this creates on the ground. When workers correct an AI's mistakes, they're effectively fine-tuning systems that could make parts of their own jobs redundant. Expect that push-pull to sharpen as AI takes point more often. This all leads to a massive fork in the road for one of the world's largest tech workforces. A report from the Indian government's policy think tank, Niti Aayog, lays out two starkly different futures. In one scenario, the tech services headcount could plummet from around 8 million today down to 6 million. But in another, with a massive push for AI upskilling, that number could surge to 10 million. We recently noted a McKinsey estimate that more than half of current work hours in the US could be automated. These India scenarios rhyme with that logic displacement if upskilling lags, expansion if it accelerates. The stakes are astronomical, you know? The government's own projections estimate that AI could add up to $1.7 trillion to India's economy. But to get there, they have to navigate a minefield. The business process outsourcing, or BPO sector, is especially vulnerable to being replaced by AI chatbots. The government is fighting back with its India AI mission, a massive investment of over 10,000 crore rupees to build the infrastructure and skills needed to win this race. Meanwhile, regulators elsewhere are still scrambling to catch up with transparency proposals like a Generative AI Copyright Disclosure Act. Another reason India's skills and infrastructure first push can't wait. The battle lines are drawn. New hires are now expected to be AI natives, with nearly a quarter of all entry-level roles demanding AI skills, up from just 5% 3 years ago. This is creating a fascinating generational rift. Companies are now trying to figure out how to integrate these young AI-savvy employees with veteran staff who hold decades of deep industry knowledge. To bridge this gap, some are turning to cross-generational mentoring programs, pairing the new hires with experienced pros to make sure that invaluable domain expertise isn't lost in the transition. As we've said before, AI native or AI forward doesn't mean everyone becomes a coder. It means you can consistently use AI to make your own job better, whether you're a recruiter automating screening or a project manager orchestrating human AI workflows. For the millions of engineers who built India's tech empire, the message is clear. The partnership with artificial intelligence is no longer optional, and their careers depend on how quickly they can adapt. Speaking of the data that fuels AI, it turns out the world's biggest encyclopedia is starting to charge for it. The biggest names in tech, Microsoft, Meta, and Amazon, are now paying for something you get for free, Wikipedia. And they're not alone. They've quietly joined Google, along with AI companies Perplexity and Mistral AI, in a new exclusive club. For years, these giants have used Wikipedia's vast library of human knowledge to build their multi-billion-dollar AI empires, essentially for free. But that has just changed. Now get this. When an AI like ChatGPT or a search engine gives you a neat summary, it's often pulling from Wikipedia's massive human-vetted knowledge base. For years, tech companies would just download a giant messy copy of the entire site and feed it to their algorithms. It was effective, but inefficient. Now, they need something better. So what are they buying? This isn't a donation. They're paying for access to Wikimedia Enterprise, a premium commercial-grade version of Wikipedia's data. Instead of just getting a massive data dump, they get a clean, organized, real-time feed through a dedicated API. Think of it like this. The free version is a giant, messy library of books dumped on your floor. The enterprise version is a perfectly organized digital card catalog that tells the AI exactly which book to read, what page to turn to, and even provides notes on how reliable that book is. This structured data is so powerful that research shows it dramatically improves an AI's reasoning and reduces errors. It's a tailor-made feed, specifically structured and tuned to train their powerful artificial intelligence systems. The Wikimedia Foundation is even taking feature requests from these companies to build out this premium service. The real-time part is the secret sauce here. This new service allows AI models to access information the second it's updated on Wikipedia. This is critical for a technology called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG. It's a fancy term for AIs that can look up current information to answer questions, which helps them avoid making things up, what developers call hallucinations. They can fact-check breaking news or provide the most up-to-date information, making their AI products immensely more valuable and trustworthy. But the real story is the power shift this represents. The non-profit foundation behind Wikipedia just put these tech giants on notice with a bombshell statement. A senior director at the foundation said, "It is in every AI company's best interest to support the long-term sustainability of Wikipedia because Wikipedia is so core to their business." And what really brought this to a head was the foundation's next move. He then delivered the knockout punch, stating that this new financial arrangement is critical for our continued existence, but for their continued existence as well. That's not a request for a handout. It's a declaration of leverage. The foundation is making it crystal clear that the very AI models powering big tech are fundamentally dependent on Wikipedia's survival. And while this new enterprise service brought in over $8 million for the foundation last year, that's still just a fraction of its $200 million plus budget, which mostly comes from small donations. This move signals a strategic decision to make the biggest users pay their fair share. They're not just asking for support, they're establishing a new reality where the world's free encyclopedia is a mission-critical paid utility. But this raises a huge question. Does this solve one problem by creating another? While this new system makes big tech pay up, it could create a new information divide. Startups and academic researchers might not be able to afford the premium real-time feed that gives big tech a competitive edge. The free options are much slower and less detailed, potentially creating a world of AI haves and have-nots. The message is unmistakable. The era of AI getting a free lunch from the world's largest encyclopedia is officially over. The non-profit that everyone took for granted has just become an indispensable and paid pillar of the entire artificial intelligence industry. All right, we've talked a lot about the data and software powering AI. Let's shift gears back to hardware, but this time the kind you can drive. BMW is coming for the electric performance crown, and it's doing something its biggest rivals, Tesla and Lucid, are not. The upcoming all-electric M3 won't have 2 motors, or even the 3 found in a Model S Plaid. It's coming with 4 electric motors. So going from 3 motors to 4 isn't just adding one more. It's a fundamental engineering bet. With a motor at each wheel, the car can control the power and torque to each individual tyre with microscopic precision. This is a level of control that tri-motor systems just can't match. We're talking about advanced torque vectoring that can literally push the car through a corner, making it feel more agile and stable than ever before. That quad motor setup is a jaw-dropping number in the performance world, a configuration typically found only in ultra-exclusive hypercars like the Rimac Nevera or specialised vehicles like the electric Mercedes G-Wagon. This isn't just about raw power, it's a direct challenge to the established order. BMW is promising what it calls a new level of performance. This level of control is crucial for a brand like BMW. The M brand was built on engine, character, sound, and a specific handling feel. But in the electric era, insane straight line acceleration is becoming a commodity. Everyone has it. So to justify that premium M badge, BMW has to redefine what the ultimate driving machine means. They're betting that this quad motor handling and a unique driving experience, not just raw speed, is the answer. The core conflict is how they plan to use it. The 4-motor system allows the car to instantly decouple the front axle, unlocking the benefits of both classic rear-wheel drive and high-grip all-wheel drive on demand. However, if you zoom out, you'll see another layer of strategy at play. This M3 is built on BMW's new A-Classe platform, which means an 800-volt architecture for lightning-fast charging and more efficient batteries. The entire system is controlled by a central computer component with the unusual name Heart of Joy, which unifies all four motors and the vehicle's driving dynamics. This central brain also means the car's performance can be upgraded with faster over-the-air software updates. And believe it or not, this heart of joy represents a massive architectural shift. Instead of dozens of separate computers controlling different parts of the car, BMW is putting all driving dynamics into one central brain. Research shows this new unit processes information 10 times faster than previous systems, with delays measured in milliseconds. This allows for things like braking almost entirely through energy recuperation, boosting efficiency by up to 25%. But, and this is a big but, it also introduces a potential single point of failure. It creates a massive cybersecurity challenge to ensure that one central system is completely locked down. But there's another piece to this puzzle. To avoid alienating its loyal fan base, BMW is adding simulated gear shifting. This feature will be paired with what the company calls a newly developed soundscape designed to channel pure emotion. It's a high-tech solution to an old-school problem following a trend seen with Porsche and Hyundai. This might seem a bit gimmicky, but manufacturers are actually using psychoacoustics, the science of how we perceive sound, to design these experiences. They're trying to restore the emotional feedback and sensory connection that drivers lost when the engine noise disappeared. The goal isn't just to make noise, but to create a sound that enhances the feeling of speed and control, preserving the very soul of performance. Driving, this isn't just an electric version of an old car. With 4 motors, a new high-speed charging platform, and a central brain coordinating it all, BMW is signalling that its first true electric M Series isn't just joining the race, it's being engineered from the ground up to lead it. From one established giant trying to redefine its future, we turn to another whose established dominance is under fire. The dam is breaking on Google's advertising empire. Following a landmark loss to the Justice Department, a new wave of lawsuits is hitting the tech giant, and the names involved are huge. A while back, we talked about how Google pitched itself as a matchmaker in ads while quietly testing direct offers inside its AI chat, bypassing the old blue links. Today's suits go after the older plumbing of ad tech, but remember, the surface layer of search and shopping is shifting too. Vox Media, The Atlantic, and Penske Media, the owner of Rolling Stone, Billboard, and The Hollywood Reporter, are all suing Google for running an alleged illegal monopoly. Their core accusation is a gut punch to the entire digital ad industry. They claim Google's dominance lets it, quote, depress prices for publisher inventory below competitive levels. And remember, we mentioned how AI-generated answers can cut publisher traffic by as much as 60%, a potential $2 billion revenue hit. If you're already losing clicks, lower auction prices land like a second punch. So the thing is, publishers use a tool, often Google's own ad server, to manage the ad slots on their websites. When you visit a page, that server runs a super fast auction to sell that ad space to the highest bidder. The publisher's arguing that Google rigs this auction because Google owns both the publisher's main tool and its own massive ad exchange. It gives itself an unfair advantage, like a last look that lets it win auctions, even if a competitor offered a higher price. Essentially, it means publishers are forced to sell their ad space for less than it's worth. Continuing our last discussion, when the same company runs both the manager and the marketplace, that last look isn't just a clever feature, it's leverage. In other words, they're saying Google has been systematically devaluing their ad space and pocketing the difference. A statement from Vox Media claims this isn't a new problem, accusing Google of over a decade of anti-competitive and unlawful behavior that has deprived them of revenue needed to fund journalism. We flagged this dynamic as capital as a moat. The longer the flywheel spins, the harder it becomes for publishers to claw back value. This isn't just a group of angry publishers. Their legal action is built on solid ground. A federal judge has already ruled that Google illegally monopolized key parts of the ad tech market, finding the company tied its products together to shut out any real competition. The lawsuits claim this left publishers with no power to negotiate. We previously analysed that ruling. What's new today is that major publishers are moving to quantify and recover the damage. The judge found that Google illegally tied its ad server, which is called DoubleClick for Publishers, or DFP, to its ad exchange, known as AdX. This is key because by forcing publishers who use its popular manager tool to also give preferential treatment to its own marketplace, Google effectively locked out rival marketplaces. This isn't a free market, it's a walled garden where Google makes all the rules and takes a cut at every step. This is exactly the kind of universal rulebook control we warned about when one company sets the protocol for how ads move. Google is firing back with a spokesperson calling the new lawsuits meritless and insisting that publishers choose its tools because they are effective. That echoes the matchmaker line we heard from a Google VP a while back, framing control as convenience. But the real end game is yet to be decided. The judge who oversaw the government's victory is now weighing the penalty, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The ruling could force new restrictions on Google's behavior, or it could lead to the one outcome the company has fought for years to avoid: a court-ordered breakup of its multi-billion-dollar ad tech business. So what does a breakup actually look like? This is the billion-dollar question. The Justice Department has proposed that Google be forced to sell off its ad marketplace, AdX, and other key parts of its ad business. This would be a seismic shift. The immediate winners would likely be competing ad exchanges like PubMatic and Magnite, who would suddenly have a real shot at competing for business. The situation presents a fascinating duality, though. While this is a huge win for big publishers like Vox, it could inadvertently harm the thousands of smaller, independent websites and creators. They rely on Google's integrated, easy-to-use system because they don't have the resources to manage a dozen different complex ad tools. So the very fix designed to create competition might actually create new barriers for the little guy, consolidating power with the largest media players who can afford to navigate the new landscape. And even if AdX gets spun off, don't miss the new front. Google is racing to become the central toll booth for AI-driven shopping, where direct offers and a universal protocol of intent data live inside Google's own experience. That's the antitrust honeypot we flagged before. In other words, we might fix yesterday's stack while the next one is already being built.
That's it for today on Voyage Daily Tech. Follow, share, and stay tuned for daily updates coming your way tomorrow.